right. Tonight is a night about redemption. Because last night's stream was a disaster. And the goal tonight is to try and polish that turd, as they say. So for those who weren't here last night, or just to catch folks up, there was a streaming error last night for the entire hour that I was on that had us at an incredibly slow bit rate. And the gist of it was that the sound was awful as a result. The picture was awful as a result. And I'm still toying with the idea of whether or not I should even leave that stream on the channel. It was that bad. The chat was great. We had a great time in the chat, despite the horrible audio and the horrible video. So that's the only reason that I'm still considering leaving that particular stream online, because of the chat. But anyway, my thought today, as I listened to some of the audio as I was putting the chapter markers in on YouTube, the thought today was, I heard some interesting stuff in the audio. And I thought, well, maybe, just maybe, I can make something usable out of that. And so I started to fool around a little bit with it today, and I chopped some of, I sampled some of it, or recorded bits and pieces of it, and chopped it up for use in samples. And I dragged a little bit of it into Vital, and played with a little bit, and I thought, this could actually be reclaimed. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to take those bits and pieces of audio that I tracked from there, a little bit from the synths. I've got a new kind of a background drone-ish thing running actually on the PolyBrute, so we can have a drone while we're building something new, either in building something new in Cube to play with. And so yeah, that's where we're going to go tonight. We're going to try to. We'll see how well this goes. To give you an idea of what that drone kind of thing can sound like, let me go ahead, switch you over to the computer, and I've got one little segment of it that I turned into a sample that is going to be playing on playing in the sampler module in Komplete Kontrol. So. So I was able to take the awful sound from last night, and take that awful sound from last night and turn it into something that's actually listenable. And I was able to do that all within the sample module that comes as part of Komplete Kontrol, which was really also pretty cool. And like everything else with Komplete Kontrol, I get some pretty neat control capability right from the Komplete Kontrol keyboard. So if we jump over to the keyboard, it's a little hard to see, but I'm in the sampler module, and I have control over the amount of polyphony. I've got different engine modes. It'll do a couple different kinds of samplers, emulations, pitch bend range here on this page. And then all the stuff that goes into manipulating a sample. So we've got, tuning and sample start point, whether we're playing reverse. We're actually playing the sample backwards right now. Our decay, our envelope for it, effects settings, and the filter settings, LFOs, modulation. The whole thing is right here. at my fingertips from the keyboard, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, going on that. But I can just, I can turn the reverse off, and the turnaround is about seamless. So that's really, I mean, that is really, really cool stuff. That I have that capability to do that quickly and that easily. And I just grabbed a chunk of audio. There's about a 5-second chunk of audio that I'm using for that pad. So yeah, Nano. You were right on with it being something in the encoder. For some reason, as I said in the Discords, the bit rate got erased basically, and so the encoder setting was for a 0 megabit per second stream. So how it actually worked at all is now beyond me. But and how that got changed, I don't know. The only thing that I can think of in that change, or that would cause that change, I'm using a third-party app now to give me a little more control over the switcher. The Blackmagic Design A10 Mini is a nice little switcher, but its own hardware panel is a little lacking in certain things. So there's an app that I got that allows me to have all the controls on an iPad. That works a lot better than even Blackmagic's app on the computer. But I think I'm guessing. The only thing I can think of is I'm guessing when I loaded that software up the first time, it overwrote my stream settings. That's the only thing I can think of. So I got that reset, and we're up at our appropriate 9 megabit per second stream rate for a 1080p stream. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was just like it wasn't even budging, except for getting worse. I mean, that's all that it did last night was get worse and worse and worse. So anyway, we live, we learn, and like I said, I'm going to polish that turd tonight. So, and what you're listening to now, Nano, is a sample from last night's stream, manipulated a bit, and in this sampler module. So the fun tonight will be playing with other soft synths and whatnot. Cube again. We'll bring in a couple of samples from last night and a couple of other samples that I have. Bring that in there and create a new cube drone. Fun stuff to play with tonight. Sadiq, hey, you're up still. another late nighter. So Sadiq is 5 hours ahead of me or something like that. So he's in at 1:40 in the morning. Yeah, you are always up, man. When do you ever sleep? So anyway, let's tear into stuff. Let's see what kind of trouble we can make. It's gonna be one of those fun nights tonight. So while we're working on stuff, I'm actually gonna dump the audio. It's 2:40 there. Wow. You deep beep pop. While we're doing this, I'm actually going to dump most of the audio out, so it's not distracting us too much. Let's dump that out. I will bring the little synth drone that's going in the PolyBrute on up a little bit. That's not what I remember that sounding like when I turned away, but okay, I'll take it. Alright, so let's break into Cube here. And switch back over to the PC. Here we go. Okay, so I'll start with that same set of orbits that I tried to use last night, because they are pretty cool. I'll bring this up for a second so you can hear what's going on. Right now I've just got 8 randomly picked samples in there. And so I'm going to do basically the same thing. I'm going to randomly pick some samples from the ones that I edited out of the. I'm going to take four or five that I randomly edited out from last night's stream, and then I have some vocal samples from a sound pack that I got from Tefty and Memes, and I'm going to grab a couple of those. So let's start with the Jamuary 10 samples. I've got some long ones and some short ones here. I don't want to do that. And the nice thing with Cube, to start with, I can just drag these things in here. Let's just kind of randomly grab this one. And we'll drop that in there. And to make these sample sets, essentially what I did was I found out that in Windows 11, you can actually record the output of the computer in stereo with a built-in function within Windows 11, which is really pretty nice. I don't remember that being in Windows 10. I remember, before this, you had to go get some weird app like Hubie's Loopback or something weird like that. And drop that in there and futz with that and hope it worked, or break your machine with voice meter or one of those kind of things. Well, I used Audacity to actually do the recording. That's what I actually recorded into. But in order to get computer audio to be recorded internally to the machine, you have to be able to tell Windows to make that audio available to your recording app. And so, Windows now has a utility for that built in. And the three buses that I have. So one is the first two, A and B, or 1 and 2, whatever they're called. Those are my effects buses. One is a reverb, and the other is delay. And for those, I'm using the stock Echo plugin for Ableton Live, and the reverb. What am I using right now? It's ROM, which is a reverb by Native Instruments. All right, let's open up that other set of samples. Come on. Now, I don't have a set of vocal samples that are actually in the key that we're in tonight, but the D minor should be close enough. If not, it'll give us some great dissonance. And I'm just going to grab these guys at random too and drop them in. Or try to. What's going on here? Oh, there they go. Just took it a moment. Yeah, see, with my machines, none of my machines have that available as loopback. Without, I can do a loopback if I have my audio interface plugged in. But without the audio interface, if I'm just working internal to the box, then I have to do something. And like I say, Windows 11 now makes that a thing. All right, so what's going on here in the main? Let's turn this ether down so we can hear as it goes past each of the samples a little more. Tell that I'm going to want to turn the vocal ones up a little more than the others. I talk to myself when I'm naturally when I'm doing sound design, so it's almost a natural for me to do it while I'm doing it here. but I want to highlight those voices when it comes past. Would you hear each one individually? Sure. Let's see. What I'll do is I'll turn everything off. I'll just turn them all off, and then except for the first one for now. Now it's going to go in and out as the orbit goes past it. So that's the first one. Yeah, that's essential. It's Sadiq. There's up to 8 loops, and the orbits, which are what's going on here in the middle, the orbits determine where the ball is fading between the various samples. So the only one that's on right now is corner A, which is this guy. And then let me get this PolyBrute out of here so that's not confusing us. So as it gets closer to A gets louder. So that one's A. We'll turn that off. And this is C, which is real quiet. Exactly, Onyx. It really is. It's like a DAW within a DAW. So this one's E. And then, whoops. Shoot. So a lot of these are pretty similar. The samples are stereo. Okay, so that's G. A lot of these are going to sound similar because they're different points in the same source. I've just chosen more or less interesting timbres. Some of them are backwards. I've added fades and that kind of thing. So I'm going to skip over this one for a second. We'll come to this one next. Okay, and now this is one of the vocal samples. And it's pitched way low. So let's see if we can I do that? Yeah. That's better. That one I'm going to leave alone. So in each one of these samples, I can adjust its envelope and as well. The voices. I don't know if you're familiar, Sadiq, with Tefty and Memes, but it's Memes' voice. She's got an amazing vocal, amazing singing voice, and they released a sample pack of her doing just oohs, ahs, oops, various different utterances. So anyway, you can do an envelope with this. I don't have the envelopes turned on any of these. I actually baked the envelopes into the samples, and then the orbits as it comes past. That's kind of sort of naturally giving an envelope to the voice. So let's go ahead and turn all these back on. Take a moment as it ramps through to find everything. One of them's got a bit of a uncomfortable sound to it. Let's see if we can find that. That's a little smoother. Oh, I like that. I'm going to save this as a preset because one thing I learned too is that let's turn the ether back up and see what that does for us. So at Ableton Live, when you save a set, many of the many plugins, Ether is a control that kind of makes it more ethereal. I mean, that's really the only way I can describe it. It's kind of a smearing effect, I guess, would be the easiest way to describe it. So it kind of smooths things out. So here's Ether cranked. And then we can turn the ether down. There's a little more texture to it this way. Actually, let's leave the ether turned off. I think I like that better. So what I was saying, some of when you save a project in Ableton Live, a lot of preset settings get saved. Or a lot of plugin settings get saved, but some plugins, just for whatever reason, they don't save, and I'm not sure why, but Cube has been one of them. So we're going to save this, and we're going to call it Jamuary. 24-day 10. There. That's not bad. Cryo chamber releases. Yeah, it's a multi effect actually, Onyx. Yeah, absolutely. So let's bring that up just a touch in the main mix. So the next thing that I'm going to bring up in the mix to add some texture to this. So this was a part of what was going on last night, a thing that I really like. This is a thing that I've been playing with this the last 3 or 4 nights. This is a Reaktor instrument, and well, even if like in this case, Nigel, this you say saving as a rack, the device doesn't persist settings. In the case of Cube, it doesn't, even if it's just the plug-in, because this isn't, I wasn't doing a rack here. Just the plug-in, it just doesn't save the settings for some reason. But lots of other things do. Everything in Native Instrument, all the Native Instruments stuff does. Vital does most of the time. Of course, all the Ableton plug-in or Ableton instruments and effects save all their settings, but that seems to be a little hit or miss. Okay, that's a little too much of that. So real quick, this guy, I'll just turn the other one down for a minute. This guy makes all kinds of weird noises. Like I say, it's a Reaktor synth, and I can control many of the functions, or some of the functions within it from the keyboard. And really, all the ones that you need to control, it does some really cool stuff just with the half a dozen controls that I have here. I don't do a lot with the Valhalla plugins. I know that for ambient guys, that's kind of blasphemy to not use them, but my favorite plugins for effects, for reverb and effects, my favorite effect is favorite reverb is Minimal Audio's cluster delay. And right now for reverb, I'm liking ROM a lot. Although for this setup, I've got the Ableton stock echo as my delay. Yeah, it can do the geese and the or it can sound completely electronic. And there's a whole slew of settings behind the scenes too for this that I haven't even played a whole lot with, you can do all kinds of different stuff. I'm using a trackpad to control, so sliding stuff around gets a little dicey sometimes. Take the helicopter out. I didn't realize Echo wasn't part of Live Standard. That is a shame. The echo is really nice. Um, yeah. So the VST instruments, all of this stuff Onyx is this Skrewell is a native instance Reaktor instrument. So I got it as part of Komplete 14 Standard is the edition that I have. I think they call it Standard, whatever their mid-level version is. And I think, though, next year I'm going to upgrade it to Ultimate. Because I'm finding I really, really like the Native Instruments workflow, especially having this keyboard now. It just ties everything together really nicely. You know, the price is, the price is not low. I'll say that. They do have sales. You can, where it really starts to shine is when you tie their controller, their newest controller, to the software. I have the first version of the Komplete Kontrol keyboard. I have the 61 key, and there were a lot of things that it does not do well. It was a good first attempt, and I actually got it late in its life, and it's okay. It's a good feeling keyboard. And I was thinking, well, I'll go ahead and upgrade to the version 2, and then I saw they were going to come out with the version 3, the newest version. It has polyphonic aftertouch, and I said, I'm waiting. I will wait until the thing hits and buy that, because I have to have polyphonic aftertouch. It's just the way it is. And so it's been worth the wait. This added so much more to the integration, the software integration, the over the Mark I and the Mark II. It's just it integrates very nicely with Ableton Live, without having to go through a weird script setup. Maschine is weird, Sadiq. I will say that. Although if you've got, I never used the Maschine hardware controller, but I did play with Maschine with my Mark I Control S, and that was actually pretty cool. I could actually see gigging with that, to be honest with you. It works well. That, a laptop, and and the Native Instruments software installed, and you're in good shape. And I could see using Maschine. My perspective on gigging, let me say what that is real quick first, and then I'll explain why I think it would work well. My perspective on gigging is as a rock and roll cover band player. And Maschine would allow me to set up songs with the instruments that I need for songs, and then roll through a set. And it all with their keyboard all works at the touch of the button. The Mark I keyboards are nice. Now, I haven't played the 88s, but the Mark I keyboards are very nice. I mean, they're using a FATAR or FATAR, however you want to pronounce it, keyboard. It's a top quality keyboard. It's very playable, and so that's not the. So that was not my objection to it. So Maschine Micro is a different thing. My understanding of it anyway, it kind of like it's like the baby MkIII thing. relies too much on having to dive into the software. The little Kai thing requires the software; it does nothing else. And Maschine Micro is kind of the same way. The bigger Maschine version of Maschine looks a little more usable to me, especially the Mark II. And it's kind of an interesting thought. I can't wait to see what they do. One of the problems with the new Control S is that it does not work with the Maschine software, and I forgot where I was going. Oh, so I can't use Maschine with the new controller. Now, since I do almost everything, I stopped gigging and I do almost everything in Ableton. That's not a problem. As far as pushbacks with this controller, Sadiq, I get everything that I need, mostly. Basically, I can in the Ableton environment. Like right now, we're looking at my first 8 tracks of mixer. And so I'm going to get a kind of a jerky zoom in here so you can see a little closer what's on the control. Or try to. Here it goes. So what I have here is I've got the first 8 channels of the mixer. I've got and I've got levels right down here. So this I can control a mix. I can never remember how to do it, but I can get into panning as well. And I have mutes. If I want to solo a track, there's a shift button off to the left that you can't see at the moment. And I hit shift, and now I can solo. So if I just want to listen to the Reaktor instrument, which is on, I know is drone 2. The problem with mute with the way I'm set up right now is that also takes out my mic. It is not a touch screen, and that's okay for me. I don't necessarily need a touch screen. I had with the Kronos, that was a touch screen, and it was absolutely necessary on there. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but I can page through. So this is my effects return. My sends to echo, reverb and echo. This is my synth bus return. You were asking Sadiq what my sends were. The third send C, is my synth bus. And what I'm doing in Ableton is to show you how this works and why this is set up the way it is. Let me get this out of the way. So I've got the three buses, all reverb, echo, and then my synth bus. So my everything is sent to sends only, okay, except for my mic, which goes to master. So with everything sent to sends only, my synth mix returns here on the synth bus, and on the synth bus I have a compressor. And the reason I have the compressor, what I'm doing there is my mic runs into the sidechain input on the compressor, and so when I talk, it ducks the synth bus. It brings everything down on the synth bus, so my voice comes up above the synths, and you can actually see it as in real time as it's shutting stuff down. There are probably more elegant ways to do this, but this was quick, easy, and it works. What I don't like about it is I can't use the faders so easily in software to set a primary mix and then adjust on the keyboard. But you know, we get used to it. It's not too terrible. So anyway, I'm happy with that setup. It does what I need it to do. Now back to the controller, I can move through the various buses using this jog wheel. I can also use this up. So left, right moves me between, moves me between tracks. I'll show you that. So as I'm moving left, right, I move through the tracks. If the plugin window is open, it pops up. And so I can move through. Up, down on that joystick jog wheel thing, because this also turns, moves me up and down through each of the scenes. The other thing that it'll do, if I were to go to a track, let's say I was going to do something in form, since as you go over go to a track, if it's in a slot that's empty, this now acts as a record start. So you hit it, it'll count in, you get your count in, and you can start playing. It'll record, bang the tap back out. You can also do that if you want to, using the transport controls over here, and you got, record, play, stop. You can turn your metronome on and off. You can set things to loop. But all of that worked. All of that Ableton. I didn't show you what I had the wrong camera up. Sorry, guys. So transport over here. This will start a punch in record in the current cell. You can do that over here as well. Stop, start. All the transport stuff. All of that worked out of the box. I installed the new version of the software that came with it, or for it. Loaded Ableton, and it just worked. I didn't have to do any extra work, and that was something that I thought was missing from the previous versions of the Control S keyboards. At least I never got transport control to work on correctly on the version 1. I did eventually get the control knobs to do the stuff for me, but I never really got anything else to work the way I wanted it to. Setting it up for MIDI control is kind of weird too. The generic MIDI controls are not yet fully implemented on this version of the keyboard. That's coming. Hopefully sometime this month or next month is what they're hoping. So I'm looking forward to that. I do want to try something, another software thing real quick. So we've got this thing called Form, which is sitting in my loop 2, and right now it is playing something. Stepic is playing something on it. So I'm going to bring these other guys out, bring it up, and we can hear what it's doing. So what I don't know about this, and I didn't have time to look up, I didn't have time to look up and see whether you're stuck using the internal sequences or internal samples with this, or if you can do your own. So Form is like a play series instrument. It's based in Contact, and so it's kind of a preset thing with editing functions. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff I can edit here, but what I don't know is whether I can use my own samples with it. So we're going to find out right here in real time. I'm going to grab one of the memes, another one of the memes voices, I think, because if I'm going to mangle something, let's have some fun, right? So right now, the reason it took so long to load that before was all these things are up in the cloud. So let me just grab one at random here and try and drag it in. No, it won't do it. Shoot. Oh well. That's the way that goes. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. All right. Well, with all that being said, I have not played a note of music. I've just played with tonight. I've just played with stuff. So let's set up a bed. I don't even know what key I'm in tonight. I think I'm actually in G minor something or another. Bring up my cool bass loop. Are you gonna fall asleep? Sadiq, if I say that too often? I'm surprised you're even up, dude. I think I'm going to play something on the Take 5, and I'll play all the wrong notes and make all the discordant sounds, Sadiq, so you wake up. How's that? Too little time in the day and so much to do and learn. Absolutely. And then, you know, if you're like me, you've got a day gig going on that's, you know, crazy. And it takes up entirely too much time, and I'm, you know, doing something crazy like buying the company or something weird like that. So, you know, hey, that's the way it goes. So, oh, there's a lot of that. All right, let's see what happens if I play some music. Oops, I screwed something up, didn't I? Alright, let's do this. So Sadiq, the Take 5 and the PolyBrute are coming in through my audio interface. The audio interface, or what I'm using as an audio interface, is a Zoom Live Track L20R. And in fact, neither one of these synths do audio over USB. they call it a blue note. Well, that's a thing. I do kind of wish I could have dropped samples into form. That would have been fun. I'll have to look into see what else I can use to do what form does in this environment and be able to drag my own samples into it easily. But otherwise, I think that I actually succeeded in redeeming last night's horrible live stream. Yeah. And I actually used the parts of the mess from last night to do it. So I'm going to call it a success. And I'm probably also in a couple of minutes going to call it a night. I think that's going to do it. Yes, party. I don't know, Sadiq, if you watched any of last night's ugliness. Yes, stream quality is definitely better. I could, I'm actually getting a data rate. My upload rate's is hovering right around 9 megabits per second, which is what I normally get. It's what I need for full HD, good sound, and all that kind of stuff. Last night I listened to the playback from last night, and I was like, oh. I did go ahead and chapter it all, because I think the chat last night was a lot of fun. If nothing else, we had a good time in chat, so because of that, I'm torn as to whether or not I want to pull the stream off that stream offline or not. I don't know what you guys think I should do about it. And I know ultimately it's up to me, but your opinions are worthwhile to me. So I'd like to know what you guys think. Yeah. So the multicam, multi-screen streaming flow. This is coming together too. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, that's true. I mean, it did get surprising number of views and surprising number of people who watched most of it and stumbled through most of it. I mean, for me, it got a lot of views. It got 20-some. It had 20-some views as of earlier this evening, I think. And for me, that's pretty good, actually. So, just a small channel. So, you know, I guess I'll leave it up there. Like I said, the chat was good, and I think we had a good time last night, if nothing else. So I'm pretty happy with that. The streaming setup is pretty. Knock on the closest piece of wood. Is pretty solid, provided stupid things don't happen, like the stream rate gets knocked out of the streaming encoder. Yeah. So I actually do pretty well in Jamuary, Sadiq, because that's when I post most of my stuff. I do need to get better about posting more regularly, and I've been using the excuse that the studio's not ready. And if you look over my shoulder here, you can still see there's a bunch of junk sitting around. I got a lot of work to do here in the studio yet. But I finally decided, I need to get off the pot and do, or not get off the pot. I need to do the deal and start using this stuff and doing the streams. I've put as I alluded on one of the Discord servers today. I spent entirely too much money on gear and software last year, especially for the amount of output that I haven't had. And so there was a push to get as much done as I have gotten done to be able to do Jamuary well this year. And so I'm happy with that result. I need to finish getting the studio done so that I can get the living room cleaned out. The living room is where I've got all the stuff that was in this room stored, sort of just piled up, basically. And we'd like to be able to use the living room again to watch movies and stuff like that. Have people over, all the kind of things that normal people do. But what I'd like to do after Jamuary is have a regular stream schedule. I'm going to try and do a live stream every week. And right now I've set aside Mondays at 8, I think is what I've chosen. But I want to try and do two where I'm not, stepping on other folks that I regularly converse with. So I want to try and coordinate with some other folks and make sure that I'm not stepping on them, they're not stepping on me. So that hopefully I can get some more subscribers. I don't care about making money from this. It's never going to be enough, I don't think, to support me. But I just want to get the stuff out there, get some conversation going, get myself to a position where I really know my stuff well, and then possibly do some actual live in-person stuff. Studio creation, but also studio use. Yeah, need both. Yeah, absolutely. So this room has been, this was an ugly wallpaper peeling bedroom in the house, and so I basically shipped everything out of it. My studio had been in a really dark, dingy corner of my basement. It's a finished basement, but it was dark and cold and uncomfortable down there, and not really conducive to making music. At least not in an enjoyable way. I did some early non-music related. I was doing some photography streams from down there, but it was really unpleasant and discouraging. So moving upstairs was important. It took me entirely too long to get this room to this point, and I finally just said, got to do it, got to go, got to make it work, and I'm really glad that I have. Jamuary will. The other thing I'm finding is doing Jamuary as live streams is actually a lot less stressful than I thought it would be, and it's a lot less stress than trying to produce some piece of music, create a video, and upload that every day. I was spending 2 to 3 hours a day on Jamuary stuff last year, and I think doing it this way, I get more output and more fun and less stress than doing the video, doing full out video productions for each one, or audio video productions for each one. So I do really like this format. There have been some jokes over the last week about what my next EPs are going to be. So I'd have to do my first EP before I could do my next EP. But I'm hoping to get some music produced and released in EP or album format. And I'm finally developing a space to do that. So really, I'm actually excited for the next year or two. And I think I've got the vast majority of the stuff that I need to get the work done. So, Jamuary, strictly easy doodles. I don't know. The stuff that I was doing last year, even the produced stuff was easy doodles. I was doing, last year I was concentrating on live looping. So I was trying to make each one as it would be if I performed in a live looping scenario, but I didn't do... Did I do the camera work? I did do the camera work on some of them, but most of them I just ended up with a graphic on screen and text over, and it took a long time to do. I did do a couple of full-length videos where I showed the process that I was using, and that was fun. But that workstation is going to come back. It's going to be on a table over here that you can't see right now. All the stuff for that is on the shelf or tucked away in corners. So I'm going to put that station together as kind of a permanent station as well. It'll get its own little streaming setup, I think. More important to get something creative done each day. Absolutely. And in my case, it's not even just that, but I want to be learning something each day. I want to be learning more about my this investment that I've made. It's like, there's 40 some instruments in the version of Komplete that I have, of NI Komplete, and I've barely touched the surface of that thing, and I've had it for a couple of years now. I bought it at 13 and I upgraded to 14, and when 15 comes out, because it's going to be even more tightly integrated with the controller, I think I'll do that upgrade too. It'll be worth it to me, and I might go to the ultimate package at that point. Haven't decided on that for sure. But that's really my only, that and the upgrade for Ableton Live when that hits in the next few weeks. Those are going to be my primary purchases for this year, and otherwise I'm planning to just dig in and learn this stuff. And some of the stuff that I have to learn is just simple stuff. Like, I can't get a patch saved in the PolyBrute. Every time I go to save a patch, I overwrite it or lose it or whatever. The Take 5 is easy. It just does what I want to do. But for whatever reason, I can't get my head around how you save a patch on the PolyBrute. Once I do it, I'll write it down and put it on a little post-it note so I can see it. But it's because I love programming these two or patching these two synths. They are so much fun. And I have software editors for both of them, but my intent is to not use them unless I need to, or to use them as to be able to load a patch from within Ableton or something, or control parameters within Ableton. That's really the only thing I want to use them for. Otherwise, I want to be, building that stuff on my own. So, Sadiq, yeah, it is time. It's been over twice as long as I had intended to be on tonight. Have a good sleep, Sadiq. We'll talk to you in somebody's version of mornings. Further behind, that's right, Tracy, you are. Thanks for stopping by, Tracy, Sadiq, Nigel, and Onyx and Nano. Thanks for coming by, guys. And I think I am pretty much going to call it a night, too. For the folks that aren't subscribed and all that kind of stuff, do remember that, you know, if you liked it, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, don't. Leave when the thing comes up for playback. Leave comments. You know, subscribe. You can also visit the website GerenM.net, and I'll put that back up again. Although the link is in the show notes, as they say. And I'll look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow night, because I'm going to do this again. So y'all have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.